starting. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This week is especially fulfilling, especially interesting. I just recorded one podcast on Sunday because we had a little bit of a schedule problem. And right away, today, Wednesday, is another one. And if my previous, if you still don't know me, you know my moniker, Darts Connector. And I'm started this podcast, Darts Connector Musings, to introduce you, my viewers, to the people that I meet during my work as a cultural producer, promoter, presenter. And I found these people fascinating. I found these people very unusual. I discovered some unusual connections between them and my life. And I just felt like it's necessary to that you know get to know them as well. And if my previous couple of podcasts were actually my new friends that I just met and I just found them incredible, please check them out on my channel. This time I'm meeting with my old friend, is a beautiful young lady that I know for at least 3 years?
At least.
At least 3 years, at least actively. We are actively friends for 3 years. And the way she introduces herself in her blog that I highly recommend in City Paul's website, she introduces herself as Russian American Jewish dancer. And please meet Asya Zlatina, Russian American Jewish dancer, not just dancer, but a choreographer, founder of Asya Zlatina and Dancers Company, and again, my good friend. So Asya, let's start. Yes, and a little maybe forward. The reason I decided to do this podcast is because recently, during the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, last Israeli-Palestinian conflict, I find out that Asya not just a great dancer, choreographer, blog writer, and just beautiful woman, but she's also very politically active. But she will tell about this herself. And I just got really interested. I got really touched. I was really touched by the videos she posted on Facebook related to her experiences. And I wanted to talk to her about this situation. But let's start from the beginning. Let's start from your definition of yourself, Russian American Jewish dancer.
Sure. I mean, that's exactly what I am. First of all, thank you so much for having me on the program. It's always nice to exchange ideas with other people. And I know you and I have talked about not just talking with ourselves and making videos alone, but having someone to be another voice in the conversation. And I think your introduction was exactly how I would also introduce myself. I'm from the former Soviet Union. I now live in the United States of America. And I love this country, and I love Israel as well, and I love the arts. And I am active as a choreographer and a professional dancer, and looking forward to creating more work as we have more opportunities coming out of Corona, more times to rehearse, and more potential to think about coming back to live performance. So that's where I'm at now. And again, thank you for having me.
Yes, and just to kind of start with your arts, what are your next plans, like nearest plan?
Well, the nearest plans is interesting. There's always, I think, dancers, when they have a choice, they'll do something that's very near and dear to them, but then they also have expectations once artists have been known for doing certain work, then their public expects certain things of them. So there was a fork in the road. There was two different ways that I wanted to go, and I wasn't sure. One of them was more a way of something that and outside forces, and the other option I had was to do something that was more natural for the circumstance at the time. Like I said, during the Corona times when I was limited to my access to space and to dancers. And so now what we're working on is kind of a hybrid of both, something that I really wanted to, ideally, if there was no break from Corona, and then also using what we can do, what we are able to do because of the limitations of Corona. So hopefully it'll be a nice hybrid of everything, but we can only do as much as we can. So, so that's our next thing. It's hopefully going to be in the fall. It's going to be very different than what we usually do. It's going to be a lot smaller with less dancers. It's not going to be a grand production because I'm not sure how many people are going to feel safe, even with the vaccines and with herd immunity and with things changing. You know, we want to be as effective as possible, but not at our own expense. So hopefully it'll be something very nice. It'll be something, of course, referencing my heritage, like you mentioned, the Jewish heritage. And it's something always, it's something close to my heart that I believe in. So that's going to be the one main thing, you know.
Okay, so no official name yet, and you just kind of confirmed everything I kept hearing about and reading about how art's going to be presented, arts, entertainment, music going to be presented post-pandemic. It's going to be hybrid. They're going to be hybrid events. People just yes, they love to be live. They love to be to see performers live, but they also got used to discover something new at home, in addition to new Netflix series or Amazon, you know, Amazon specials. So many great things, and I just loved your series of 5-minute fitness. But 48, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I think something in the 40s, definitely more than
something in the 40s. Yeah, so you made a lot of people healthy. That's for sure.
That's great.
That's the way to do it. Okay. Yes, and just again going back, we not just friends, but we worked together on several projects, presented a couple of events. I'll put links to the videos from these events in the description of this video, so you will be able to see them. But for both programs that we did were centered around Jewish heritage, which they both share. But you actually kind of a little bit different than me, maybe because I always was very interested about the relationship between religion and art, especially Jewish religion and art, especially Jewish religion and performing art. Because my again experience and impression was that Jewish people, as talented as we are, we can boast about so many great Jewish artists, composers, performers, painters, so on, but they mostly were created not because of Jewish religion, but despite of it. When people were accepting, artists were accepting Christianity or Orthodoxy, or trying to assimilate. So how you for you intersection, how you operate in this realm? I know you're a deeply religious person, and I know you're very talented and creative artist. So how you how those two things are working together.
Yes, I think that's something that's always been very interesting and also difficult for me, because two things that you said. One is, even when you do have Jewish artists who are religious, most often it's in the realm of how you just mentioned, either visual arts or fine arts or musical arts or something of that nature. To be a dancer is very different and very specific, because there's a religious issue of mixing men and women. There's a religious issue of costuming on women. There's a religious issue of performing during certain days, and also of, in general, women being on a stage. So those are things that were, excuse me, always very challenging, but they also showed me how creatively I can be successful even with all of those things. So I think also for myself personally, religion is something that is a very ingrained part of me, as much as being an artist. So I don't always think consciously about how it's going to affect my work. I think it's more visceral. It transcends the logic of thought. I don't think there's ever anything I've done where I've thought, how do I make this religious? Or how do I include religion in the performance? But it's such an integral part of myself that certain habits and certain thought processes that I have, which come from being a religious person, they just happen to thread themselves through and find their way into my art. But I don't think there's ever been a time that I've thought, how do I put this religious aspect into art? And it's always more heritage based. I think about the things that I love about my heritage. They're also the things that I know the best out of everything. I know the way my family has practiced certain things, or has enjoyed certain ideas, or has celebrated in a special way. And those are moments that stay with me in my emotion and in my heart. And those are the things, the good things I love and the sad things I love. That's what makes the creative process so great. I can access those parts of myself. So it's more of a subconscious kind of thing.
Right.
The one time that I do think about religion, it is in the context of, okay, my show, someone actually made a review about this. Our show was on
I've
Thursday and then
seen
it
it.
was on Sunday.
Uh-huh.
And it was mentioned in the review, there's no Friday show, there's no Saturday show. So those are different things. They don't make the content of the show, but they're definitely prevalent. There's certain dances that I like to perform for religious women's groups, so I'm going to change the costuming. But again, they don't affect the content of the choreography. They're more aspects I think about outside of that.
Yeah, not to offend people's sensibilities. I understand.
Exactly.
I understand. We work in the synagogue, so I know perfectly how it works, and it works actually sometimes. So, if I understood you correctly, for you, Jewish religion is more a combination of heritage and spirituality, not so much like all specific hundreds of little rules that you should observe. Doesn't matter believe you in them or not.
Well, I still do the little rules, but as far as the creative process, the little rules are things I do from the time I wake up until I go to sleep, but they don't necessarily come in specifically into the creative portion of my life. When I'm not creating, when I'm going to make a meal, or when I'm waking up in the morning, or when I'm doing certain things in my house that is not creative, I will reference those little rules. But as far as getting into the studio, creating the work and making the choreography, it's different there.
As I don't believe that you're doing things in your house, doing little things in your house that are not creative.
Maybe, but something as mundane as eating a snack, something as mundane as eating a snack. I don't think about it, but if I
Right.
take a banana, I will make a bracha. I will say a blessing on, I'll say a blessing on eating the banana. But I don't think about that it's something I have to do. It's just something naturally. And one aspect, for instance, I think gratitude finds its way into my art a lot. So in that respect, those two things that we just talked about being completely separate are related. The reason that I say a blessing before I eat a banana is because I really do think about, I'm so grateful to have this banana. There's so many people in the world that don't have this banana. And you know, as somebody that grew up in the Soviet Union and other regions, my grandmother fled from hunger. And as I was growing up as a child, my mother reminded me at every single meal that I didn't finish that during the siege of Leningrad, someone could have eaten this banana for
Absolutely.
a family of 6 and survived, and they didn't. So just those things of really gratitude coming in, and that way, same thing when I'm creating. I think there's moments of gratitude that I want to show about how beautiful life can be, and so those emotions find their way in. So that's interesting that we just talked about those two separate things, but really they are related. So.
It's life, it's nothing separate in the life of the person. It's always interplay of different parts. Like we were just talking about spirituality, religion, art, upbringing, heritage. It's all those things that make you a complete person. And again, as of recently, I've discovered another part of you, which is being politically active. So can you tell me about how you came to become a Zionist?
Yes, absolutely. Well, for me, as I'm learning, I'm entering many groups of different dialogue because I want to expand my understanding of Zionism and its contents and people who call themselves anti-Zionist or non-Zionist, and also how that varies between people who are Jewish descent and people who are not Jewish. So just for the purposes of this conversation, the way that I define Zionism, and so what I'm realizing is there's many different ways in 2021 that the word Zionism is being used. Some people believe in a homeland, but maybe that homeland could be Uganda, as was one of the original options. Some people believe in a homeland and it should be Israel. So for myself, I do believe that the Jewish nation, the Jewish people, have the right to their self-determination, that they are deciding their own fate, and that they have a historic home in the land of Israel. So that's one thing that's very core for me. The way that I became a Zionist, I'm not sure I ever wasn't a Zionist because it's just a label that exists for someone who believes in that. I do believe, and I've always believed since I can remember myself and being aware that I'm Jewish, that we have a homeland just like every other nation has a homeland. And so I don't really think of myself as having become a Zionist or where did it start. But again, coming from my background, there's no other option when you see hostile neighbors or hostile governments towards Jewish people that affect every single aspect of their waking to going to sleep life. You just have to believe that there's something better. And the main thing for me is Jewish independence. So we have to have a home where we're not told what to do by another majority. That's very important for me. Because I'm tired of hearing what a Jew should be, and I'm tired of hearing what a Jew should do and what a Jew should be doing by outside voices. I think there's room there to interpret, but that's just a very loose definition kind of what I'm thinking when I think Zionism. And so it's so funny because I guess you're 100% right. You're talking about it in a political standpoint. I was thinking about this today. Again, you're right, but for myself, I don't even think of it as a political thing. It's basic to existence. So
see, Asya, I'm sorry interrupting you, but it's a very interesting thing I just thought about. about little, both me and you, we are of the same origin. I define myself as Ukrainian Jewish American. In this, actually Jewish Ukrainian American, but there is the difference is because I'm originally from Ukraine, I'm Jewish by origin, but not by religion. I've never been a religious person. It's maybe because again I don't want to go into all the details. So why not? But maybe because of age difference. I grew up completely in the communist Soviet Union, and for us, Jewish religion was something completely foreign. And I just, for you, you told me you were born with this. You probably were experienced. You were experienced religion in childhood, in some family traditions, and Zionism for you became again air hubris. For me, because of my exposure, constant exposure to communist propaganda, to newspapers and radio and TV and conversations, Zionism was something scary.
It was what?
It was something scary, it was something foreign, because as you probably know from learning history, after 1957, after the war, before that, Soviet Union was pretty much an ally of Israel. It was a country who helped to create this state. Israeli government was really left-leaning and socialist and communist. All the so it was very interesting. But then, when when it was between Soviet Union and United States, when people, when only this was important, who will win in any conflict. Soviet Union was completely humiliated during the war in 1967 because he armed all the Arab countries, and after that, there was, anti-Semitism became a norm. Before that, it was kind of on a level of human relationships. After that, it became a state policy. It became a state policy. It became a propaganda, very powerful propaganda tool. That's why, for me, as a historian, I didn't know anything about history of Zionism, what it was, how it became. I just started to learn it relatively recently. And I understand Israel made it as a state against all odds, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud of what they accomplished. I have my reservations about how it was accomplished and how it's done right now. But I'm interested to learn a little bit more about your understanding of what is the state of Israel right now.
What the state of Israel right now is, it's a very far, I think it's very, it's developed so much since its initial beginnings. And that's what I think we really should be examining right now, is going forward. Above everything else, for me, I do see a future that's very bright with our neighbors that right now are hostile to us, and with the differences in the population. I do see a future that's very good, where all the different nationalities and ethnicities are living side by side as friends. So for me, this is very important, because right now, like you said, Israel is already established. It's far off from where it was. Some things are very scarily similar to how it was in the beginning. Certain hostilities and certain war moments are very scary. Also, if you think about that, it's a small state surrounded by neighbors who are completely different, who are not like the state of Israel, with tradition, with religion, with ethnicity. So I prefer to move away from those ideas. and really focus on what are the current issues now that are affecting the populations, socially, economically, politically, etc. So I think it is a very different Israel than it was even just a decade ago. And the things that we want to accomplish within the state of Israel as it is today are very different goals. I think there's a lot of issues that have to be thought about, but just like any other country or unit, even a family unit, if you think about your family and your closest friends, they're not perfect. There are things within your
Nobody's
family
perfect.
that are dysfunctional and that are things that you want to change or make better. And I think it's super important to focus on dialogue and action that can turn those relationships into thriving relationships. I think it's super counterproductive, very counterproductive to focus on the hatred, to focus on demonizing the Jewish people that are currently in Israel and Israelis. And also, when I use the term Israelis, that is a nationality. This is a state. This is like saying the word American. I have come across so many people that I've spoken to that use the word Israeli for Jewish people. Don't forget, there are Arab citizens, Christian citizens, Muslim citizens. These are Israelis. Now this is the word Israeli. So again, for myself, I would like to see less of the counterproductive us-them situation and demonizing of any particular person, and find where are those allies, where are those Arab allies, where are the allies who are going to work with the state of Israel and with people like myself, who I hope will be very populous, you know, in this.
Okay. Okay, yeah, it's understandable, but as you described current situation, which is actually, again, it's not just in Israel, because it's a common theme throughout the history. It's us versus them. It's our tribe versus your tribe. We are people, you are not. If you know, in every language, when language names somebody, your own people, it has a name. It has a name. When it names people who are not you, who are different, it has normally derogatory name. It's a derogatory name, like in Russian, Немцы. It comes from the word people who can speak. And it's unfortunately, it's going on everywhere. For me, personally, like a perfect analogy. Yeah, and okay, I don't want to concentrate on my ideas right now. I want to hear yours. What ways, practical steps do you see to help to move from this state of us versus them to this mindset, us versus them? Which I strongly believe is on both sides of the conflict, and to the state that you envision, where people can actually talk to each other, describe their differences, and try to move them out. What is your recipe?
Okay, so this is a very tough question, and obviously this is untested. This is just something that's a dream of mine. It's not something that I think will be a magical solution. But I do think two things. I think one, and this is where the arts comes in for me, and this is a very big deal. I think if we can get together with those who see us as the other and the stranger and don't want to have any type of conversation or dialogue with us about Israel and about Jews present in Israel, there are other things that we can talk about that can bring us together. And those include different activities, such as sports, such as learning a skill, such as cooking, such as dance, such as things like that. So I think it's important to support organizations that bring traditional, and I'm using this very carefully, this term, because, you know, again, I don't want to offend anybody, and I also don't want to misspeak, but traditional enemies of now this conflict, of the sides, of the traditional sides, bringing them together, and also with the outside people who maybe aren't involved, just to focus on that skill, just to focus on the activity, just to focus on the acting or the dancing or the singing or whatever we can do that's creative together, because creating is always better than destroying. And you can learn about a person without tensions if you're not focusing on the things that are making them tense. And then the other thing is, I do believe in dialogue. And I do believe that the closer, and I know a lot of people are worried because there's a mistrust of the other, but the closer you can come to that other side, not with the people that want to hurt you, but with the people on that other side who are dreaming the same like you, I think those small connections have to be really valued for more than people value them. It might not change the world, but it's a good place to start, because the alternative is unthinkable. And I don't want to go into the realm of the alternative, which is people wiping each other out and existential questions and other things like that. And I think currently in this climate, it's actually very hard. I can't really even focus on your question, because in a time of peace, you can think about thriving and solutions. But when you are backed into a corner, the way I personally do feel right now in this state of what's going on, where I feel like I can't move on with new solutions, because I first have to defend why I exist as a person, defend my rights, defend my desire to have self-determination like everyone else, when I'm mislabeled as a settler, as a colonial, as a racist. And people are trying, there are forces trying really hard to equate all three of those derogatory things with the word Zionist. And
Okay,
that's
I
not
said,
true.
it's not, it's nothing new. It's nothing new. For
It's
what I
nothing
told you,
new.
yeah, what I told you about turning Soviet Union in 1967 to the propaganda was exactly the same words. Colonial, fascist, colonialist, occupants, and so on and so forth. So whenever people want to achieve their goal politically, they need to find a scapegoat. And when they find a scapegoat, they need to put a label on the scapegoat to make it derogatory. And as you know, historically, the Jewish people are very familiar scapegoat. So don't think it's something new, that it's something that happens now. And
I
that
don't.
every time it happens. So in my experience, from what I've seen, you actually is the first thing. I think it's a really good solution, because when people are creating something together, you are achieving real dialogue. You're concentrating on creation. Perfect example. Your that dance group. Remember our conversation after, maybe even higher, and I specifically asked your girls why, how you relate to this Jewish theme, to the Jewish experience, and they perfectly understood. So when you create something together, you actually building building this bridge between people. But sometimes, in order to start building this bridge, you need a little cultural shock. I'll tell you my favorite story from my youth. I graduated in 1986 from Kiev University and started my work couldn't find a job as a historian because of perestroika started. And after long search, I found a job as a school teacher in a night school for what they would say now delinquents, kids who were thrown away from the regular school, who were on the way to the prison or from the prison. Some were prostitutes, some were all kind of some parents alcoholics, and so on and so forth. And learning history was the last thing on their mind. And I'll never forget my first lesson. Well, my first, actually, when I just went into the school, I had 5 students in the class. And I was, I'm short. I had glasses at the time. I was wearing a suit and tie as a duty teacher. So I came in, I started to talk, and all of a sudden I have a band of 6, 7, 10 people running into the class, not paying attention to me, nothing. Just running to the end of the class, taking a guitar, starting to play, started to yell some, lucid songs. I was trying to calm them, and then, okay, I decided, never mind. I came to them, but very decisively. I asked, give me a guitar. They were shocked. I got a guitar, and I know how to play, I know how to sing. So I sang then a couple of archaeological songs. They were mine for the rest of my teaching career. So again, sometimes you just need to shock people, to do something, not to get into very detailed conversations and dialogues trying to tell them, no, historically it's not that, historically it's this. It doesn't work, at least at the beginning, in the first stage. Maybe later when you establish some trust, but sometimes you just need to shock them. Maybe, I don't know, maybe during this demonstrate, this counter protest you were talking about, when you were such, put the soda. Just have a couple of strong Jewish guys standing with bits,
I did. I had my husband step in.
Absolutely, yes, bodyguards.
I didn't. I couldn't believe that we were both verbally and physically assaulted.
Oh,
it's just not something. It's not.
I understand. You're intellectuals. You grew up in a safe environment. But in these situations, again, you need a shock, cultural shock. So a lot of people just they don't understand, at least in the first place. They don't understand words. They don't understand, but they do understand force. They do understand force, at least very measured and very short display. Not necessarily violent, but just to display that you're forceful, that you can protect yourself. Or maybe another thing, music. Remember what Orpheus did with stones? He was able to move them.
I think the rally that's coming up, which is going to be very different than the counter rally that we organized, this is going to have a lot of music and arts and performances and things like that. So it's going to be differently organized. But yes, you're absolutely right. This is something that can lighten the mood and show a different side and also speak a different language.
Mm-hmm. Right. I remember at one of the events, the guy, one of the international events I attended, a gentleman came out and started to play violin. And after that of his play, he played beautifully. I learned that he was an Arab. I know people who were doing like ensembles between Arabs and Jews. I know I play soccer every Sunday when we have an Israeli team on other field, or sometimes an our team, and we have completely international team just playing soccer and talking to each other. We're really, really good friends. Nobody bothers where are you from and who are you. Just find common interest, find art, culture, music, sport, food. I give you my recipe, you give me yours. Especially again, Jews and Arabs are cousins. Historically.
Exactly.
So yeah, this is, in my opinion, this is only hope. But just a little. So when tell me when is going to be your rally?
When is the what?
When is the rally and where?
Okay, the next rally is July 11th. It's a
Okay.
Sunday and it's going to be in Washington, D.C. And it's a lot of different groups participating and a lot of fantastic speakers, including the son of Elie Wiesel. So Elisha Wiesel is going to be speaking there. It's going to be right in front of the White House. And there's going to be buses going from Philadelphia and from New York and from Baltimore and from other places. And what's interesting is it's really mostly to go to the White House and express that we want more support as Jewish people, because people, very well-meaning people, they think about the theory versus practice kind of argument. So there's a lot of people that will say, oh, being anti-Israeli is not being anti-Semitic. I also want to agree with that. I think lots of things that you can find to say about that. The problem is in practice, practically speaking, when an American citizen is specifically targeted as a Jew for a conflict that's happening in Israel, again, I want to agree that those are separate issues.
No,
but that doesn't help me. That does not help me physically when I am being targeted as a Jew in the United States.
They're not.
So yeah, and I really want to agree with those people. I see in theory what they're trying to say.
I said don't. Please don't. As soon as you try to agree with these people, you're losing. You're losing.
Well, there's a lot of nuance. There's all from the definition. So whatever you're defining that as. But again, you know, the theories don't help me. The theories don't help me. When you are targeting Jews, that is anti-Semitic, specifically against Jews. And so the rally, this rally, July 11th, is really to go and to ask for a vocal support from many people in positions of power that really should say things more than what they've been saying. They've either not said anything at all, or they haven't roused the public. The media is nowhere to be found except for certain outlets. And to have a very major voice in America put out a tweet that tells us that the solution is to hide our identity is simply unacceptable. It is unacceptable.
What are you talking about?
Well, we don't want to get too political, but there was a tweet that came out, and I can maybe share it with you a little bit later, that basically did say that, you know, to the Jews, it pains me to say this, but maybe, you know, take off your kippah, take off your yarmulke, take off your visible signs of Judaism.
Okay.
This is absolutely unacceptable. This is absolutely unacceptable to come from an official. This is absolutely unacceptable.
Yeah, ask Muslims to take their garbs.
Say that again.
No, I'm just saying it's the same to say to Sikh take off your actually national headband, or to Muslim woman take off
exactly,
your
or to anyone, or to anyone, you know, or to anybody. So it's just unacceptable, and that's exactly what we're protesting.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Asya. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was very, there's a lot that, you know, there's a lot that remains to be said, but it was very nice chatting with you and at least opening up a little bit to your viewers. And hopefully I will be very happy if our conversation today causes people to ask questions or causes people to disagree with things that they've heard and then engage in dialogue, you know, or maybe learn something new. So like I said, it's all about the dialogue.
Absolutely. Okay. I'll talk to you later, and until we meet again. Bye.
Yes, thank you so much.